Today's the day that I'm going to reveal what's going in this tank, and I'm just going to put it out there. Some of you might be a little disappointed. 8 months ago, I received this amazing 4x4x30 300-gallon custom aquarium, and my whole plan was to put discus in it. I've been obsessed with discus ever since I've been fish keeping, so this was going to be a special tank for me. Unfortunately, our water isn't the best for discus, and I'll be honest, I'm not 100% sure why that is, but all I know is they don't like it. It's like the pH and the GH and the KH and all that is just way too high. In fact, I have the perfect way to show you that. Yesterday I tested the water because I wanted to make sure today was going to be a good day for these fish to go in it, and I wanted to make sure everything was okay. One of the things that you should really do when you're setting up an aquarium and before you put your fish in it is test your water regularly. I've been doing this long enough to where I don't really test it throughout the whole process because I let my tank cycle for so long. At the end, like when I think I'm ready to put fish in it, I do like to double check just to be on the safe side. So that's what I'm gonna do now, and I'm just gonna do it real quick just to kind of demonstrate how you do it. Everything tested out perfectly. The ammonia, perfect. The nitrite, perfect. The nitrate, perfect. And the pH, this was not a surprise to me that it was going to be in the 8s somehow. So that's why I'm not getting discus for this tank. So since I couldn't get the discus, I decided, well, maybe I'll get another fish, and I was really excited about this fish. It was the frontosa. Frontosas would have been great for this tank, and I was super excited and started to put together a scape that would be perfect for them. I spent months trying to find the right rocks and driftwood for frontosas and finally got everything ready. And then, I don't know, it's like I just stopped. Everything just kind of got put on hold. I wasn't in any kind of trouble. I wasn't having health issues. There really wasn't anything keeping me from it. I just got lost. I really don't know how else to explain it. John and I, we have this YouTube channel, but we also have a website, and we sell plants and snails and, you know, all kinds of stuff like that. And the thing is, it's just the two of us. We do it all by ourselves. We haven't gotten to a level where we have multiple employees doing all of the work. It's just John and I doing everything. I'm not telling you this to get sympathy. We both absolutely love what we do and consider ourselves lucky to do this for a living. I'm only telling you this because we got totally caught up with work, adding new things, dealing with new vendors, and on and on and on. And this tank just got put on the back burner. But I got back on track about 3 months ago and started getting things going again, and that's when it hit me. Frontosas are great, but my heart is telling me something different. It's telling me I need to go in a completely different direction. The fortunate thing though is the scape I've already set up, it's gonna work perfectly for this. So, we've left it a big secret about what we're putting in here, or what I'm putting in here, and it's been so fun to see what people are like guessing in the comments section. It's been kind of amusing too. You won't believe this, but it's true. John said something kind of funny about the filtration in this tank in last week's video.
Once I got the pump from the beta system, I installed it, got the system running, and called my good friend Jay Wilson from Sicce, and I said, Jay, I've got a 300-gallon tank, and Lisa's going to be putting... you thought I was going to accidentally reveal what Lisa's putting in here, didn't you? Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you. You're going to have to wait till next week to find out, but I did have to tell Jay, though.
Jay called us that evening, and he told John that people were demanding to know what was going in this tank. Now that's pretty funny. But Jay's a friend, and he can keep a secret. But now it's time to tell you all, and it's time to go get the fish so we can put them in here. But before I reveal them to you, I've got to tell you why this is happening. There's a few reasons, and they'd all be fine on their own, but I'm going to go through all of them, starting with what I believe is the most important. There's two dates that'll always stand out as two of the most important days of my life. February 15th, 1995 is the day my first son David was born. He's been shown on the channel many times, and the second date is January 18th, 2019. This was the day David's first son Braden was born, and that would be my first grandchild. I know what you're thinking. You're like, geez, Lisa's a Mimi? Yeah, I am. I have 4 now. I have 2 grandsons and 2 granddaughters, and they're so awesome. But Braden is the first. Anyway, being a grandparent is one of the coolest things ever, and like I said, I've got 4 now, and every second I get to spend with them is precious. One of the fondest memories I have as a grandmother is the first time I got to do something with Braden that was just me and him. And of course, that was a trip to the fish store to pick out fish for a project I was doing. I took him to the fish store in 2021, and he was 2 years old. And at the time, it was kind of interesting because he wasn't talking really well for a 2-year-old. He took his time learning how to talk. We were actually worried about him for a while, but all of a sudden when he was around 3 going on 4, it was like boom. And he went from barely talking at all to carrying on full conversations with you. And to be honest, we can't get him to shut up now. And I'm not complaining. But when we went to get these fish, he wasn't talking at all yet. He would just point to things and nod his head. We went in the fish store and said, okay, remember the tank Mimi said we need to get fish for? Go pick some out for me. I wish I had video footage of this, but it wasn't something I thought I needed to get, but it was hilarious. He was running through the store, pointing into a bunch of different tanks till he settled on one in particular. This tank had like 500 fish in it. And I was like, okay, we can pick out 5 of them. It was so adorable because the employee that worked there, she was super nice and she helped us, and she told him, you can get any one of these you want. You just pick it out and I'll get it for you. And I kind of whispered to her, I was like, it's okay if you don't get the right one. But she did really good and she did her best. She kept netting the fish until she got 5 of them, and I'm pretty sure she got the 5 he wanted. Maybe she didn't, but she did really good. He never even knew. We brought the fish home and put them in their tank, and it was one of the best moments of my life. To do something that makes your first grandchild so happy is something that'll stick with you for the rest of your life. The fish he picked out went into a 150-gallon tub in our backyard, and in the winter, I'd bring them in and put them in my 125-gallon, and every time he'd come over, he'd grab my hand and run to see him. He still asks to see him when he comes down to our place, and it's usually the first thing he says when he gets here. He's so cute. So do you want to see him? Do you want to see Braden's fish? Well, let's go get him. So cute. The 5 fish that Braden picked were 5 feeder fish, and they're the most perfect goldfish ever. This thing's heavy. Finally. he beautiful? Like I said earlier, I have more than one reason I decided to put these fish in my new tank. Yes, the Braden story is the biggest, but if you know anything about this channel, you know that John and I have been advocating for these fish for over a decade now. Feeder goldfish bought from the pet store are some of the worst foods you could provide to your fish because there's the potential to spread disease. They provide barely any nutritional value at all, and when you feed them to your fish, you're robbing some child out there of fish they might pick to go in their grandmother's tank. Just saying. Another reason for choosing these fish is what John experienced when he rescued all his goldfish for his pond. The original plan was he was going to get some koi and we were going to put these in the pond, but then he found an abandoned pond with a bunch of fish in it that needed a new home. There was a total of 24 fish, so there wasn't any room left for these. Plus, if we put them in there with a bunch of other fish that look just like them, they'd just get lost and we'd never be able to tell which ones were Braden's. I don't know, is this going to be Braden's tank or is it going to be Carl's tank? So I decided they deserved this tank. They started out as feeders and spent 3 years in a dark tub. They deserve to be spoiled. They deserve to be treated just as good as any fish out there. Discus, frontosas, or anything else I might have decided to put in here don't deserve to have a tank like this any more than these fish do. This is why I said in my video that I didn't care what people say about it. It makes me happy. It'll make Braden happy when he sees them. And it makes the fish happy because they're not in some Oscar's belly. So here they are, they're in their new home, they're really happy, they're exploring, and aren't they just gorgeous? They're really gorgeous. And it's not just them in there. There's 2 mystery snails and about 4 or 5 ram's horn snails. And I don't know how those got in there, but they're in here. I added some Anubias Nancon because I wanted to have sort of a plant in here that connected the plants on the outside of the tank. And I wanted to make sure it was a plant that the goldfish would be okay with and they wouldn't destroy it. I tested it in the tub outside with them for a few weeks and they did not even bother it. So I think everything's gonna be okay. Here's another thing that makes the fact that they're used as feeders so depressing. It's not like they chose a bunch of ugly fish to feed other fish. These are as pretty as most of John's pond fish out there and have amazing personalities. They're just a fun fish to keep, and if people want to be mad at me and say this is a waste of a really nice aquarium, I'll just say, take a look at it. Now that you see it and you know the story, how could you possibly say it's a waste? So there you go, 5 feeder goldfish that cost 10 cents a piece in a $10,000 aquarium from Custom Aquariums. I want to say a special thank you to quite a few people and companies really quickly because they deserve the acknowledgement. Thank you to Custom Aquariums and Mark Beavers and Caribsea. Oh my gosh, I love the substrate. Jay and Wendy Wilson for the lights and for the pump. And I also want to say thank you to Mark and his crew from Aquariums Unlimited when they came out here and helped me set this tank up. And thank you to John for dealing with my changing of the fish multiple times and just dealing with me throughout this whole process. Thank you so much for watching and going along this journey with me, and we'll see you next time.